So, I'm currently in a predicament. I've almost exhausted all options, and while it looks bleak, at this moment I still have time to change things. But even so, I need to change things for the better. Now, success in the form of vanity isn't really the thing I'm after. Success to me means being able to live off of doing something that I have confidence in doing, while it provides value to others. It doesn't necessarily mean that I need an art business, but if it comes down to it, then well, I'll have no choice. This action that provides value can be my skills as a medical technologist or anything outside art. Now, in the year or so where I've been dabbling on YouTube, I've realized that if this is going to become anything, it'll take some time, and most especially a refinement of what I put out and the things I provide, which I'm tackling on at the moment. But what I want to share here is the balance of art and life outside it. Because not everyone needs to be a full-time artist to get what they want. I, for example, got to make and finish a full-fledged graphic novel/comic without having a business or something related to that in the first place. However, I did need time, and it is the management of that time which sort of dictates the balance of doing art and doing the other things in life, such as work, profession, and livelihood, or family, friends, and relationships. Growing up, there was a dichotomy of how to pursue art. For my parents, they say it's just a hobby and you shouldn't think too much about it. On the other hand, professionals on the internet, like business gurus and whatnot, tell me that I should make a business out of it in order to survive. Now, I understand where both are coming from, but I do have some disagreements in particular aspects of the two perspectives, more so the former rather than the latter. In regards to my parents telling me my art is just a hobby, it would mean that I shouldn't focus or become better at it. A hobby means that it is something optional, and to me, that's not how I view art. Art to me is a craft of my own making, where I didn't have to follow in the footsteps of either my parents to get good at it. For the first time in my life, I made something of my own, and it is in that regard that I value art. It is a craft, and a way of life where I had to build on it without the help, or more so the enforcement of higher authority. It is truly what I can call my own. As for the other people and internet gurus telling me to make a business out of art or showing me how they run an independent art business, it is the job of that business to serve the customer in whatever field they provide. A food business, for example, might provide things like meals. A hardware store provides tools and everything in between. And art in terms of a business is a luxury and is something optional. It is not necessarily needed. It provides value in an intangible manner, which is still to its credit value because I too have made purchases of art that have meaning to me. What I don't like about this is that the business depends on the customer for their survival. And oftentimes, what I see is that the art the artist creates panders to a certain group and eventually loses their own vision and intent on what they want to make. So, in honesty, there's nothing really wrong with doing an art business. There was never anything wrong with it to begin with. It's actually great, but a clear and cautionary approach is much desirable when trying to do this. And right now, as much as I have skills that are presentable, I have yet to refine the product/service I provide. To me, categorizing art as a hobby does not incentivize growth, and being told as such only makes me want to go against that notion. And for an art business, you need a plan. Not necessarily a full-fledged, officially notarized business plan, but a concrete plan of which you can either adapt or weather the storm. But most importantly, provide value. But going back, my initial plan was to get a job and then just work on my art on the side until it becomes eventually viable. but time and opportunities in my profession are waning as the years pass by. And I worry as my parents grow older, I'm still stuck at home, working a job that barely pays, and trying to break into a career that is essentially a gamble at this point. Thus, I decided I'm going to study medicine. I've got the credentials, and my parents are finally relieved that I'm following in their footsteps. And so, what I expected was that I'll just be doing art on the side while going through medicine. But just as luck would have it, the medical school I'm in isn't a traditional one. You know, the entire point of a school is to have a standardized curriculum, a proper process to follow, and information being given to you in a per-subject basis. In a normal medical school, at least in the school part, all you had to do was listen to lectures, study what was being lectured, and then do the exams and quizzes. The medical school that I'm in does none of that. We are forced into groups, given very vague objectives, and we have to figure out stuff on our own. Basically, we have to develop our own systems, our own methods, and our own style to hopefully pass their exams. Now, I was prepared to study, that is fine, but I wasn't prepared to do this. Hence, I have just put myself in a place where I literally cannot afford to do other stuff, because if I do, I will be behind and fail. Even if I do succeed, it will be at the cost of my art, which is literally my identity. At this point, I feel like medicine is telling me to go kill myself. Spiritually, that is. So even if I graduate, become a doctor and all that, I will be empty, a husk of my former self. But if I go back to just working a job that barely pays me, it will cost me my livelihood. And so I'm in a bit of a pickle. Do I sacrifice my art? Do I sacrifice my livelihood? Or to rephrase that, do I sacrifice my identity, or do I sacrifice my livelihood? However, as much as I see this as a conundrum and a great problem in my eyes, what if I'm just overthinking? What if there is a balance that I can do? After all, so far art is the only true craft that I have. Everything else is essentially just a hobby. If I focus on my art in medicine, that's just two things. Two heavy things, of course, but just two things nonetheless. And so, what I've come to realize is that I'm just getting my thoughts wrapped around my head. I am overthinking it. Because what my teachers in medicine tell us from time to time again is that we have to just study. Doing anything else sabotages your ability to pass medical school. But at the same time, they are the kind of people who have no life outside medicine. Thus, their advice and methods are incompatible, useless, or just outright detrimental to me. Perhaps like their quote-unquote curriculum, I have to make my own thing. Prove them wrong. That I can live a life while tackling on medicine. After all, in the end, it's just time management and getting the right information. Smart studying and all that. There are probably numerous amounts of stuff I can cut out of my life that are just insidiously leeching my time, such as unproductive YouTube videos, social media, etc. And if I don't pass, so long as I did everything that I could, then clearly it wasn't worth my time anyways. If push comes to shove, and all my options are exhausted, then I'll just think of something else. So that's just my situation and thoughts right now. Until then, I'll see you. I have plans for this channel, that is.